Thank you for joining us for episode 23 of the Survive and Thrive Challenge. I'm Laura Brandao, president of AFR, and we are here to open our hearts and our minds as we share our personal and professional journeys as we have adapted to our new world. On today's show, we have three wonderful ladies. From Oregon, we have Claire Mahoney. She is the broker owner of Mortgage First Corporation. From New Mexico, we have Kim Kissane. She is the broker owner of Premier Choice Mortgage. And from California, we have Terri Davis. She is the VP of Client Management at Ellie Mae. Okay. All right, ladies, we're going back. We're going back to the middle of March, when all of a sudden we're hearing some crazy things on the news, some uncertainty. Then we couple it with lots and lots of changes happening in the mortgage industry. So take me back to that moment when all this change is occurring. What's happening in your world, Claire?
Personally, I had a Disney World vacation planned for spring break with me and my 6 kids and my husband, and we were totally packed, ready to roll. And the night before we were supposed to leave, the parks closed.
Oh,
so we had to tell our kids, and there were many tears, me included, because I was looking forward to it very much, and it made me just heartbroken to see my kids' hearts broken over looking forward to that. That had been their like big Christmas present, so they had been counting down the days, and so that was obviously quite disappointing. And then, I mean, at work, it was like alarming that there were programs dropping like flies, and just so many changes, rapid fire. You couldn't hardly keep up with what's next and what's changing. So my dad and I kind of were like, okay, I own my business with my dad, and we kind of made a list of all the things that had changed and tried to keep our employees apprised with what was going on and what was new and coming down the pike. And yeah,
wow. Okay, so let's take the business first, and then we'll also come back to the personal. All right, so on the business side, did you continue to work in the office? Did people have to work remotely, or were they already working remotely? How did you adjust to that? And with all these changes, did you have files in the pipeline that maybe didn't work or didn't have a program or had to be reworked? And how did that go with communicating that change to the families?
Working from home, we made an option for our employees. We have a pretty good sized building where our offices are relatively spread out, where we were basically socially distanced anyway. So we gave everyone the option of, if you want to continue working in the office, we're going to let you do that, knowing the risks that you are, open to. Most of us kind of partially worked from home for a little while. Personally, I had 6 kids that now were doing school from home, and I tried to work from home, but I'm more productive in the office and when I don't have someone knocking on the door and interruptions. So I worked a little from home, but mostly I just continued to come into the office. That was basically how it was for most of our loan officers. A few people kind of did it off and on, but no one, I think there was like maybe a week of a couple of people choosing to do that. In terms of loans in the pipeline, there really wasn't like a dramatic fallout or something.
Okay.
Certainly, there were a handful of people that were purchasing that decided to pull the plug and wait and see how things go, or people that were pre-approved, looking for a home and have their house listed. A few people called us and said, I don't want to list my house anymore. I don't want people walking through my house, so I'm going to just kind of hold tight. So there weren't any major catastrophes in terms of active loan files, which we're really grateful for.
Good.
But there were certainly the people that we kind of had, on deck, that kind of drastically changed. A lot of people hit the pause button, which I understand. So.
Right. And again, before we get to the personal side, because my goodness, I can't even imagine 6 children during a pandemic, but we're going to get to that because we definitely got to dive in. All right. I'm curious. I mean, your father obviously has been in the industry a long time, and he's seen lots of cycles and changes within the industry. I'm just curious, like, what was his perspective that he was kind of, you guys having a discussion about? I'm just curious what the
I in one of those early days, I remember going into his office and being like, Dad, is this like what 2007 felt like? Like, is this what's happening? And he was like, I mean, the mortgage industry, you kind of always have to be prepared for the like unexpected things can change overnight, and they did. But he said, I'm not worried in the same way that I was then, because all the indicators leading up to this point, economically, we're in a healthy spot. The home values have improved based on facts and not speculation. And the loans that have been closed in the last 10 plus years are fully underwritten loans. It's totally different build up to where we got here. This flip of the switch is different than the 2007 thing. He's like, I think I'm not entirely sure what kind of changes we're going to continue to see. And it might be a little bit of a hunkering down, and we're just going to weather through the storm for a little bit. But I do think it will bounce back faster than obviously what 2007 turned into. So, but I remember being like, Dad, I've never seen, because I got in the industry 2013, and my dad's been in it like 35 years. So I heard pieces about it, but when that was all at its worst, I wasn't in the industry, and I knew the surface level. Yeah. And I didn't see these emails coming in one by one of different lenders eliminating this program, temporary hold, all these changes that were rapid fire happening. So so that made me feel better. And I think he was right.
I think he was right too. And it's interesting. And definitely, every week we kind of have this discussion of, at that initial reaction in March, I think everyone was like, what is going to happen, right? I mean, everyone, I don't care what company, what position, we all were, what is going to happen. But you're right. Nobody thought, well, number one, we didn't cause it. The mortgage industry didn't cause any of this. And we were all in the same situation, right? Regardless of where you were, technically not even just in the United States, in the whole world, we were all going through the same thing. And that's what's so unique about what's happening here. I mean, when else has something happened in the whole world at a similar time, right? Never in our lives. Mm-hmm. So that's what was so different. All right, Claire. So now I have to hear about the kids and the homeschooling because I can't. I have to tell you, I give you a lot of credit, because no matter what about the mortgage industry, that is definitely more challenging. So tell us kind of the age range of the children, like kind of give us an idea. And did they have to go to full work school at home at some point?
Yes. So when this all happened, I remember the Disney World being closed news we got on a Thursday, because we were supposed to leave on a Friday. School had gotten out Wednesday, and that was the beginning of our spring break. It was supposed to be like a week and a half. So the rest of that week and into the next week. So they were already out of school when we found out Disney World's closed. And then shortly after, our state was like, okay, we need to do a quarantine, basically. So basically it went from, okay, no vacation, and now everything is shut down. So the schools, so ages. So 6 kids, we're a blended family. So we have 2 that are, so at the time, they all had a bunch of birthdays. 2 pre-K, 2nd grade, 5th grade, 8th grade, and a sophomore.
Oh my.
That's when it all happened. So 4 different schools, and they all shut down. So basically spring break just kind of extended until they figured out what they were doing. So it ended up being like a month of schools were just like, we don't know what we're doing.
Oh, so they didn't even have because I mean, nobody really had a plan in place for how to deal with this. Okay, so for a month they said, just stay put. Like
basically, and then hold please, we're thinking about how we're going to handle this.
All right.
So then by the time they had a plan, it was all online and Zoom calls with the teachers. The pre-K, they didn't do Zoom calls for the pre-K kids, but the teacher put together little baskets with printouts and cut up construction paper and little projects and clay and stuff like that. And she would come to our house and deliver it on our doorstep for us to do with the little kids. So, that's great. And I get that no one ever had a plan like this for a backup for teaching. And they were doing what they could do and, flying by the seat of their pants, really.
Yeah.
But what was really hard is in the mortgage industry, rates were crazy. And my husband's a realtor, and he did have a little bit of a dip. We both kind of felt like there was like 2 weeks that kind of felt like everybody was just kind of like, oh, what's happening? We're just going to hang for a little bit. But other than that, stuff didn't slow down. So we both work full time, and we're trying to work from home to help facilitate this online stuff for the kids. But one kid has a Zoom call at 9:45, and the other one has a 10:15, and then a 10:45, and then a 3 and a 1, and oh my word, it was crazy.
So what did you do?
Cried and drank wine and no, I'm just kidding.
I've heard that a lot, Claire. Actually.
My mom always watches our kids on Mondays, and so although for a couple weeks she was like, okay, we're gonna kind of not do this, and then after a while she's like, there's no way I can't see my grandkids for an unexpected amount of time. So she was still okay with coming to our house. So she helped a little bit. And then my husband and I just kind of tag teamed of okay, one of us would wake up really early and work from home for a few hours. And then we'd kind of get the kids going and coordinate these online classes. And one thing that we got really good at was a chore chart system. So I did a lot of trial and error. We had a lot of time at home to test out some different methods, and I feel really good about that.
Look at that.
We kind of implemented that in between projects.
And what are they doing this year? What's the plan for this school year?
The schools are they're essentially not going to meet until second semester. They're just doing the online, they're calling it hybrid, but I don't know what's hybrid about. It's all online. But the kindergarten, so the pre-K, they're not going to be kindergartners. We do have a private school that they're under 100 people total in a school. So they're still allowing for meeting in person. And that class is only 12 people, 10 or 12 kids. So that's great. They have little face shields for the kids, and that's all spread out. But I'm so glad that I don't have to do online schooling for kindergarten, because
that's very hard.
Really difficult.
That's very difficult. Yeah. Wow. My goodness. That is quite a story that Claire has over there. Goodness. All right, Kim, take us back to March. Tell us what was happening as things were changing all around you.
I think we were one of the later states to shut down, in the sense that we were about 2 weeks later than the entire country. However, we are still very shut down now. So we went a little lower in, we had about a 2-week gap before we started to panic. But in that 2 weeks, it allowed me in my business to really prep to get people prepared to work from home and remote. And my computer guy was able to get us set up remote and get the server, where it needed to be, because that was my biggest hurdle, I think, initially, was to allow my employees that do have underlying health issues to work from home. Because we had not been remote, or they didn't have computer systems at home. And so we had about an extra week or 2 weeks here in New Mexico before we went completely dark, I would call it, in terms of shutting down. So I think the biggest challenge I think we faced, I work really good in chaos in general. So the more you throw at me, the better. I don't know why. It's just something that happens, whether I like it or not. I am like a Tasmanian devil. Throw 50 things at me and I won't complete it. I won't be done until I complete it. But the biggest challenge was getting the remote access. Once we got the remote access down, then it was just getting everybody on the same platform. So they were utilizing how to get that to processing and how to communicate with each other, not in the office. And then we did allow them to work from the office or work from home, whatever their comfort level was. And so that would probably be the biggest challenge in business, was the, rapid changing from going in the office to remote. The changes that came along, we just learned to adapt. I think the hardest thing for me was watching people lose their jobs rapidly and then not be able to qualify. And so we didn't have a lot of people back out. We had more people losing their income and their, livelihood and not being able to support their family. So they couldn't move forward with the business. So we saw a lot of businesses shut down pretty rapidly here and were affected pretty fast. And they're still affected today. They're not open. And so I think that's been the biggest challenge with the business. Personally, I only have one kiddo at home.
Well, hey, you should have it easy there, Kim.
Yeah, one kid, he's in 6th grade. He had just made the 7th, 8th grade baseball middle school team. And so that season got cut short. He plays travel baseball. So everything got shut down. So our personal life went from really busy every single day to practices to like almost nothing. And then it was learning how to be like, let's be a house mom all at night, except, we're gonna cook dinners and we're gonna eat at home and we're gonna take those times that we didn't take, And so personally for my son, it was a big adjustment. It was a huge adjustment for me to go from not running, 50 different places, and being able to kind of just breathe and really get the household in order. And I don't know that it was a negative thing. My husband's a first responder, so we had to do some different, security or safety protocols for him, because he works in the front lines as a battalion chief, firefighter, paramedic. So we had to take some precautions with the virus with him being in the house. But personally, it was actually a relief to slow down a little bit.
Don't get to the thrive part. Don't jump ahead. All right. So a couple of questions. How did your team adapt to going fully remote? How did that work with your dynamic of working through the production?
Not well.
Okay.
I think we rely a lot on the human interaction, like face-to-face, or being able to just walk into the office and say, hey, where's my file? And one of our processors, the internet wasn't as great there. Yeah. And so you couldn't get her on the phone or you couldn't get her on the email. And so there was a couple weeks that we were not as organized as we should have been. And so what happened is I'd be in the office and I would just, kind of try to make sure everybody was running smoothly. And then it got to the point where if it was just 2 or 3 of us in the office, because we are spread out kind of like Claire, we would just come in because the internet for one of our processors wasn't up, fast enough in the area of town that she lives in. Yep. You could buy the fastest internet, but it wasn't connecting where she could work efficiently. So it wasn't as smooth as we'd like it, for sure.
Yeah, but definitely lots of people have that same struggle. So absolutely. Also curious, your son with 6th grade, that's a interesting time, right? We all know there's a lot of change, a lot of different things going on at that time. How did he adapt to, I'm assuming he went to being at home, right? I didn't ask, but okay. So he went from no longer going to school, being at home. Now he's not playing baseball where he was part of a team and all of that. How was that adjustment? Because I'm curious because that age is a tough age.
So I have 2 children. My daughter's 19 and he's 12. And so he's my easy one, but we went from easy to kind of like, fighting to do the online school, mood swings and grumpiness, maybe acting out a little bit more than he would. And we don't let him have much PlayStation time, but we found that if we could get through school, we would give him some PlayStation time during the week so he could have actually that social interaction with his friends. Because when you take a very social child, a very active, healthy child that's doing every single day baseball, 2-a-day baseballs to nothing, just what your home gym can offer, it really does put a mental strain on their ability. And then school for us wasn't, we didn't go back after spring break like Claire's children, but it was like, hey, just log in and turn 2 assignments in and watch this video. But it was very much like you're on your own. And so it was very challenging. And I can do math, but I don't do 6th grade math the way they want us to teach it. So, we had to get really creative with Googling Googling questions and learning how to reteach ourselves 6th grade math, because my way of math is definitely not what they're teaching them, and he won't be able to use that. So
yeah, it was really interesting. Even last week, somebody had mentioned that their kid would finish all the work by like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Like he would do whatever the assignments were, whatever they gave him, and then he was done at 9:30. And then it was like, okay, now what? Now what do these teenagers or these preteens, what do they do all day? Like, how do you keep them stimulated? So I would have expected you answered the question that way, because at that age, they need to be around other people and they need to socialize. And that is such you're going through so many changes in every direction that, I could imagine that's tough. So, all right, great, Kim. All right, Terri, tell us what was happening in March.
March was good. Life was good. I was 2 months into my new job at LA leading client management.
Oh, wait, what did you say? You had only been there 2 months when this happened?
In that role. Yeah.
Oh, in that role.
A new job. I started it in January. Yep. And I'm traveling a ton. My husband and I both travel for work. We've been married 23 years and we mostly travel. So that was normal. We were like road warriors. We'd see each other mostly on the weekends. And that impacted our routine, obviously, forever. And we were looking forward to our daughter's marriage. She was planning to be married in July. She's 28, a school teacher in San Francisco.
Oh, no.
So things were great and very busy and, just lots of optimism, things to look forward to. So March 9th was a Monday. I came back from a trip. I was down in Southern California the previous week, was in the corporate office. And I started getting the buzz that we were going to limit corporate travel or go on a moratorium, no corporate travel. And when I had been in Orange County the previous week, it didn't seem like anything was really a big deal yet.
We were there too. Kim and I were there.
We had the ship. We had the ship over in Oakland.
Oh, you were there, Claire. We were all there.
Yeah. So it's just, it didn't seem like a big deal. And none of the clients I had visited seemed to be agitated about it, right? It was all good. So the 9th, we said maybe we were going to do this corporate moratorium on travel. On the 10th, on Tuesday, we mandated work from home. So in one day, we pivoted and said work from home. And I think Jonathan Core, our CEO, who's working with a lot of other executives in the Bay Area where we had an early shutdown, we're all planning on this need to work from home. So we went Tuesday the 10th, we were work from home for everybody in corporate. And by the 13th, which was that Friday, the Bay Area did a work from home, or a shelter in place mandate. So it was very quick and kind of unexpected. For us, for the team I work with, the client management team, many of us work from home. So it didn't seem like a big pivot for us. We're used to WebEx, we're used to Zoom. And it was kind of novel to be at home with my husband for a couple weeks in a row. And so at the beginning, it didn't seem like it was weird, it was kind of fun. But then, as things started shutting down around the state and other parts of the country and customers were starting to get impacted, it became a very different situation, right? And like all of you, we're trying to help customers adapt, like you were all adapting, trying to get them help to be paperless and working from home, or they may have had, old habits and die hard. They had paper in their offices. So like you turn this on, you do that, you do this, talk to Notarize, do SnapDocs, get to your hybrid e-closing situation, leverage paperless investor deliveries. Let's get you going.
Before you keep going, I'm just curious. How did that go? How did that go as you were telling people, I know you have a paper file, but, we're going to show you how to instantly go paperless and
use
start
the e-folder.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Wait. This is while you're you're sending your entire company to work remotely. So I'm just curious, what was the response from some of these companies? How did they do with it?
They did it. They figured it out, and pretty quickly. And we were really pleased and proud to be able to help them achieve that. And sometimes you just need the forcing mechanism because people like to do it the way they know how to do it, right? So it was a force. It just kind of had to happen. Now, I think everybody's kind of made the curve. There are still customers who have people on site. They need to wet sign documents for this, that, or the other, but it's a small staff, and they did it, but it was probably more painful for some than others.
Absolutely. Now, please tell me what happened with your daughter with the wedding. Did the wedding?
She had to postpone it. Aww. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have to. Obviously, they have a choice, but her fiance is from Denmark, and the whole travel thing from Europe is a problem. So none of his people could come if they had decided to keep it. And they decided they're very family oriented. They didn't want to just do the justice of the peace thing. They've been together 10 years. They met in college, right? So they're like, what's another year? They were crushed. My daughter had her dress. All the plans were made. But they decided to postpone till next summer. So it's all okay, but it's been rough. I mean, talking to her, the weird thing has been teaching kindergartners, Claire, how to do kindergarten on Zoom because she's a kindergarten teacher.
Oh,
and so that I've observed this happening. It's hilarious. The attention spans of a kindergartner on Zoom are very short.
Yeah.
At any rate, so I mean, it just became in March. It became a really crucial time to help customers adapt. And then you all know what happened to rates and the forbearance policies and products changing and, servicing executions going down the drain and customers pivoting to sell to the GSEs from aggregators. I mean, there's a ton of things happening. Everybody was stressed. We were working a lot of hours, and that's when our routines really fell apart. Like having had routines before COVID and then work from home, working many hours, exercise routine screwed up. Food routine is screwed up. I mean, I don't cook. I never have cooked. I've always traveled during the week. Right? So now we've got to figure out who's cooking. What do we do for entertainment? What do we?
What did you do? Did you decide to cook, or do you and your husband split it, or what did you wind up doing?
Yes, well, that you're getting into the thriving thing, but we have
to okay, all right. Don't tell me that.
It was very messy in the beginning.
Okay, it was dicey, but you figured it out.
There was a lot of messy in the April-May timeframe that I'm not proud of. And a lot of wine.
Great? Isn't that? And Claire, she's on the same plan.
Yeah, I'm on the same plan. I haven't really given that vice up yet.
Well, I mean, wine sales are like through the roof. I mean, that's across the country. So absolutely.
Right on.
All right, ladies. Well, number one, awesome job of the surviving part. And now we get to hear the fast forward. Here we are 23 weeks later. We've now adapted. We've come through this change. So Claire, tell us, what did you learn from going through this? What are some lessons you've learned? And what are some things that I like to say, if the magic wand came out and everything went back to the way it was before March, what would you continue to do? Because you've decided, you know what? I like that. I want to continue doing that.
The big changes that we made really are long-term changes, not temporary fix type adjustments to COVID related anything, but it was how busy we still were. It was I was just like, there's never going to be a good time to make some changes and improvements to processes. So I need to just put my nose to the grindstone and change. So for my own pipeline, I implemented Flowify, which has been life-changing for me. It just streamlined a lot of the back and forth and helped me stay more organized and on top of clients getting their stuff into me. For our business, I decided to, well, actually, I guess another thing with the Survive thing, unrelated to COVID, we have 9 active loan officers. And we've been open for like 30 years. We've always had 2 processors, and it's been fine. We've done it with 2. One of them quit with no notice.
Oh no.
I found her key on her old desk Monday morning and a note that was by Felicia. So that was like,
oh. And what month was that, Claire? Like, when did that happen?
Oh my gosh, that was May.
Oh, that was a really busy time. Oh.
Yes. So I was like, okay, well, now is as good a time as any to like totally revamp the way that we do processing. So I decided, I took like a Sunday and mapped out, I was like, I want to break it out to be like an assembly line.
Yeah.
And so I made 4 positions, and I divided it into 4 different roles, and it would, the file would move from here to here to here. Where then I was like, okay, I can hire people that are not as experienced, and it's less to train them on. There's more accountability, where if the ball gets dropped, I can know where it was. And we can have more capacity, because 2 was no longer enough for how the growth that we've had, which is fabulous. But so I was posting jobs and interviewing people with masks on, and
oh boy,
and revamping what the job roles even were. And a lot of it, I was like, okay, so we've never done it this way. I'm sure that my plan has holes in it, and I need someone that is flexible and able to roll with the punches and be willing. Like, I want you to see the end, like the long game with me of, we're making these changes and it will be rough and we'll have to pivot and make changes as we go, but this is my end goal. And then once we nail this down, these are the next things I want to do to improve processes and that kind of thing. So I found 3 really great people. We already had that one. And so we've done that, and we had them come all in on a Saturday, and I did an all-day training thing. So that, I mean, there's certainly been bumps with getting used to a new way of doing it.
But that's wonderful, Claire. I mean, out of adversity, out of, something sudden happening, now you've created a way to, like you said, be able to handle more and be able to put it into and bring in people that aren't experienced, right? So that they can learn just little chunks. Where did you said you posted? Did you like find these people? You just posted on social, or did you post on career sites, or where did you find them?
I used a website called Wise Hire. It's WIZE Hire. It was awesome. Like, you could pick, you could do it for any job, but you can say like what field you're in, what you're looking for, and it has a lot of like pre-written job descriptions, and then you can tweak it, because half of that is like, I mean, that takes so much time to just write a job ad. So that I loved. And then it automatically posted to like multiple platforms that had job postings, and they had a couple different tests that the applicants would do. So it would do like a DISC test, personality test. So it would sort of do a little bit of a pre-screening for you, and then it would categorize like based on what you're looking for, what they think is a good match and what they think is not so good match. And then you can obviously view them anyway. But that was a huge time saver. I would highly recommend trying that, because
that's awesome. That's a great recommendation. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that was a big change, and that was something that I had wanted to do long term, but I was forced to do with what circumstances we had. And honestly, I am grateful, because as much as that like really sucked when that it all hit the fan, I feel like we're going to be in a better position to scale and handle more files more efficiently, have more accountability. So it was a change that I would have taken longer to implement had this not all happened. And I'm glad that it worked out that way. So that was good.
Awesome. Any other lessons or things you're not changing?
Another thing that I did with my, having to work from home, I was like, okay, well, everyone is on social media way more than they used to be, because they've all got time and they're at home, and a lot of people weren't working. So I came into my office at like 6 o'clock in the morning one day and had my little ring light, and I bulk filmed a bunch of Instagram stories. And I like brought a few different shirts, and I changed my shirt and changed my hair so it looked like I filmed them on different days, but I like filmed them all because I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to do 3 videos a week or something. So I filmed like 17 videos that are all a minute or a few minutes long, and saved them all. And then I staggered putting them out on my social media platforms. And that was, I had never done video before really at all. And I was like, why haven't I done this? Because the response was incredible. And I've had a lot of people that have reached out. I mean, I've gotten lots of leads that I can directly correlate to that, which
That's
was
wonderful.
And that was another thing where if I hadn't like kind of been extra motivated to pull the trigger and just like try it, I probably would have put it off longer. And now that's something that I'm like, I really have to stay consistent with that because it has a direct ROI that I can see. So.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
Way to go. That's great, Claire. I love that you're thriving. Love it. All right,
That's
Kim,
awesome.
tell us what you learned and what you would absolutely not go back and change, even if the magic wand came.
Okay, so I learned that I should have hired back when somebody told me to hire like 7 months prior.
Same.
So
I think
I'm gonna
everyone
learn to trust
agrees
my
with
gut.
that one.
Yeah. So what I did, you know, because we were all chaotic and busy and we've only ever had one processor, we added a junior, but I took on the role of processing and originating in June. And I've been doing that now for almost 90 days. And I know we need another processor, but what it's allowed me to do is really step back and see where our gaps are and our holes are and what we need to hire for. And we're in the process of working on plugging in a couple of people like Claire is now. So I don't know, you know, I don't want to process long-term forever, but it allowed me to really step into that business and realize where the gaps were happening and have those conversations. So I think, you know, for me taking, you know, what thing I'm going to thrive from when everybody in the industry is telling you to hire and you think, yeah, we got this, and you do got it because nothing's being missed. You know, you're just working 20 hours a day. Take that advice and hire, and don't be scared. You know, I've been doing this 15, 16 years. I've been through the ups and the downs. I've always been a broker and we've made it. We're going to continue to be successful. I think the biggest thing though for me that I want to continue to thrive with is staying really involved in the community. New Mexico is kind of we have a lot of poor surrounding communities and nations, and so I've always been one to donate maybe financially, but this allowed me to actually donate my time. I joined a mask drive and started sewing hundreds of masks to donate to the nation, you know, the Navajo nations, and our, you know, our company donated. We went to stores and bought toilet paper, diapers, formulas, you know, give like goodie bags and food that people could come here and pick up because they couldn't find those supplies. So I think for me, it was being more actionary versus just monetary. It allowed me to get out and, you know, and provide more of my time. And so I think the biggest thing for me is I love to give back. And yes, we give back in mortgages and we educate, but if we can make a difference within our community when, you know, all the time, not just when there's a pandemic. And so it's really opened my mind to how many other places we can plug in as a team here as our staff to give back to our local communities, not just with money, but actual, like putting in the work, you know. I mean, I sat there sewing till 2 in the morning. It was kind of therapeutic, honestly. I'd go to work and then I would come home and sew masks, but you know, it was a humbling thing to know that these people that didn't have masks were going to be able to protect themselves. So I think for me, spending more time with my family, slowing down and giving more to the community and being more present is what has been the biggest.
So what did you feel this? Well, listen, if you're processing loans, I'm probably answering my own question. Where did you fill your time with, where you weren't going to these baseball games and traveling around and all that kind of stuff? You're probably working a good amount of that time, but did you change some things that you were doing with the family because that part of it changed?
We did. So I've learned that we're kind of a funny, quirky family. So we started doing game nights. You know, Yahtzee is a big thing, and you know, very competitive. Or we would do karaoke. Like, who knew me and my husband could not sing that well together, but we just would hang out together and sing karaoke, or, you know, play Yahtzee or Uno. And so we really started doing more family home dinners. Game nights are big. We had a pool going in, so now the pool is the big thing, right? Swimming together, but really enjoying nights. So we would play, you know, games till, you know, maybe 9:30 or whatnot. And if I had to jump on, I would then go on after to process, but I would at least give myself that gap that normally might be rushing 45 minutes to grab my son to get him to baseball, to then sit at the baseball park on my phone working, and then go home, get him dinner, and then start working again. We filled that couple hours with game nights and, you know, really being attentive and present in family and, you know, being there. And I think we've learned that we're kind of goofy and funny, and nobody wants to hear everybody on a karaoke machine, but we have a lot of fun.
And I'm going to tell you that although, you know, your son going through the adjustment period, you know, when we were speaking of the survive part, boy, is he going to have some really happy memories, you know, in the future of this part. So that's very special, very special.
I'm sure of it.
Check out Claire's connection there with the how to hire through that website. You know, I think write that one down, because that could probably hook you up with some help there. So that's awesome. Awesome. All right, Terri, now I'm dying to know what happened with the cooking. So all right, so now you fast forward, you've gone through.
That, the New York Times cooking app is my favorite thing on my phone. So I'll tell you that I have broken through, and I mean, I'm probably not too adventurous, but I have been cooking, and what's been fun, I mean, there's been a lot of really good things that have come out of this weird time for my husband and I and our family. And one of those is probably because we have always been gone from one another and have bad habits like eating out or takeout or, you know, just eating poorly. It's been really fun for us. And so we have a planning party on the weekend about the menu for the week. We decide who's cooking when. I braved the grocery shopping. So I don't know if you guys have like identified a person in your families that are going out, but I'm the designated going outer. So I do the grocery shopping once a week, and we have it all planned out for the week. And you know, we still use DoorDash once a week usually for some delivery,
because we should support our local communities. So yes, I agree.
Yes. And we've tried lots of different restaurants, and I sometimes I break down and get takeout if it's been a long day. And then the other thing we've done, which is I'm laughing with you, Kim, because he and I decided we needed a game night. Cornhole happens to be one of my favorites because it's outside.
There you go.
I can do it with my wine. So Friday night, just the two of us, right? What do you do? And grown-up people out there, we're playing cornhole, and we've done Guitar Hero, which is also hilarious.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And then we've broken up our Netflix stuff, you know, so that we're not so bored in the evenings if we decide to, we usually look at an hour and a half that we might grab some TV. So we've got like documentary night, we've got movie night. We have a couple of shows we're binge watching right now. It's on Amazon Prime. It's like the world's craziest race, you know, like the hardest eco challenge in Fiji. That's been our latest binge, which is super fun. So, you know, we've just gotten into some fun routines. We try to read one night a week, and, you know, we have a lot of Zoom calls with friends, which has been really fun to figure out how do you stay in touch with people.
I have to ask you, so both of you traveled for work previously. You've been married over 20 years. Okay. So you've been together a long time. I mean, that is a big change to be away 5 days a week outside. And now all of a sudden it's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day together.
Yeah.
I mean, there had to have been some type of adjustment to this, because although we all love our spouses and partners, but there's a big adjustment to that. So
absolutely.
So what was that? It was kind of a slow progression, like you kind of, you know, said, let's get into a rhythm. And now that you're into that rhythm, now it's like, this works.
Yes. Yes, but I think that was the weirdness of April and May, right? Because March was novel and fun, it's like being on a staycation, but we were working a ton. And then we were like, we got to get some routines because it was just messy, right? I mean, who's cooking? Exercising was off, and my husband's way more disciplined about exercise than I am, but I was an Orange Theory girl, and I could do that anywhere I could find an Orange Theory, and then all the Orange Theories closed. I'm like, what am I doing? So I ordered a Peloton bike, which took 10 weeks to get here. But in the interim, I was a mess. Anyway, it was fine. We really have always adored, loved each other, and have a great relationship. And we've always stayed connected while we've been traveling. We have a very disciplined process of connecting at night and doing FaceTime when we can. And, it's just been how we've been able to operate. We raised Kevin's daughter while we were doing this for 23 years. So, we figured out how to do it, but it's been great. It was just weird for a couple months.
So now let me ask you a question. Remember, the magic wand comes out. Magic wand comes out, everything goes back. Everybody's flying, everybody's going to conferences, meeting clients, all this. What would you do?
Yeah, I have missed customers. I have missed the customer interaction.
No, but I meant with you guys being together so much, would it be okay that you would go back the old way?
We'll miss each other. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be that way. I mean, I don't think it'll be that much like it was before. I think we've learned that we've missed a lot. And being home, and like Kim was saying, being grounded and present and not always planning for the next thing and packing for the next trip, and that buzz that you get from this go, 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 go. I've had a good mindfulness practice for a while, but it kind of broke down in the middle of the pandemic, and it's back now and probably more grounded than ever. So yeah, it won't ever go back to that crazy, I don't think. Although I'm really proud at how I can pack a bag and go through TSA and, all those things you feel really good at when you're a world-class domestic traveler on Southwest Airlines. I really won't miss that.
That's awesome. My goodness, ladies, you definitely are thriving. So this has been amazing. So now I get to hear who joins me next week. So Claire, who will we have next week?
You're going to get my husband, Matt Mahoney. He's a real estate agent. So I know that it's a little bit deviating from the normal, but I think that would be
I'm very, very interested to hear a realtor's perspective, because we have not heard that. And I truly can't wait to hear his side of what was happening in his world. So awesome. I can't wait for his perspective on the 6 kids story too. We'll have to see how he tells that story. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, Kim, who will we have?
I am nominating Melanie Stuckey. She is a mortgage broker out of Florida. So
yes, awesome. Can't wait. All right. And Terri.
I am nominating Jamie Modern. She's a senior vice president at DocuTech. And I think, that perspective on marketing and supporting customers moving to paperless with docs is probably something and Jamie has a great personal story, and she's a fabulous person. So I think you'll have fun with her.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. I bet she has quite a story, both professionally and personally. Well, ladies, you are wonderful. I wish you to continue to thrive and make all these great accomplishments, both professionally and personally. Thank you so much for being on.
It was so nice.
Take care. Take care, ladies.
Laura. Pleasure, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.